Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com. Welcome to my channel. Thank you if you're a member. Thank you if you're a subscriber. And thank you for the hypes I've been getting. I appreciate all of your support. It's a great thing. I have some good news. I know with good authority that Marco is releasing like a Metelli Part 2. It's not really a Part 2, but the creator created a deck based on the Metelli. I think he replaced 2 through 5 with the 4 Moors. And so it must have been after 1750. And he used, I think the deck creator from, 1750 or whenever. I don't know when the deck was actually published. But I think he might have used the same plates because it seems to be identical to the Metelli in every way, with the exception of color. So, I'm all over that. So I asked Marco to send me an invoice. And my first earnings from having members, I probably won't see $100, probably for, I'm guessing, another 4 weeks, maybe. But that's how I'll get it. So he'll bill me. I'll pay for it, and then I'll pay myself back when I get earnings from YouTube. So I'm excited, and you should be too, because this is beautiful. The Metelli, is my favorite deck, but this one, the colors, they're even better. They're the color, I think. But of course, we'll see. So there's that to look forward to. And then everything that's going on in this freaking country. I've had real concerns. Let me, this open cabinet door is kind of making me crazy. So let me go shut it. I'll be right back. Our Democratic governors they're not blue enough. And when I see, Governor Pritzker from Illinois and Governor Newsom, God, universe bless them, because everyone else is just trying to be democratic. Well, I don't think we can be, and God bless Pritzker for calling out, hey, we need the 25th Amendment because this guy's nuts. And he just said it. Now, New Jersey has been a blue state, but I'm really concerned for my state because I have a feeling that the Democratic person who we support isn't blue enough, And I think because she isn't blue enough, when it comes to a woman who's not blue enough, and then this real red conservative guy, I'm fearful that some conservatives in the state will just opt for him because he's a man, number one. I'm just really concerned. So I don't know if you guys can hear this phone ringing. It's really annoying. I hope you didn't hear that. So I'm going to do a reading on the New Jersey, on the governor's race. And, and as much as I support the blue candidate, of course, because it's the only option, I'm concerned that she's not going to be blue enough, that she's going to think. I think some of these governors or these representatives, they still think that there's such a thing as democracy in this country, and there's not. We're in a fascist state. I'm going to say the words because it's what it is. And I'm really concerned, I've been, everybody in this country who is concerned needs to flood their representatives and their governors. It's not just you do it once. We got to do it we got to do it so much that we're the biggest PIA, that they know our names, because they got to get the message, and they got to get it in droves that we can't play nice with these people unless we want to lose our democracy. So for this read, I'm going to use a deck that anybody can afford. It's under $30. Well, I guess, some people might not be able to afford it, but most people probably could. And it's the Blingy Golden Tarot of Marseille by Scarabeo. It's a fun deck. I like it. And if you're in the tarot world and you like to have a couple tarot decks, but you can't maybe necessarily afford one of the more expensive decks, there's no reason why you can't, splurge a little bit and buy yourself a fun deck. And this one for me is a fun deck. So I'm going to go off into my meditative place because I really want some good insight. I really do. And I want to see if this state elects a red governor. I think we're out of here. I think we are. So there's a lot on the line. Okay, let me go into my meditative place, do what I got to do. I'll be right back. So the question is I'll admit, a bit predictive in nature. And I don't tend to like to do predictive reads because I like to do more reads where, we're given food for thought, but we know what we have to do. I mean, I could ask the universe, what do we have to do? But I know what we have to do. And I've been yelling it off the rooftops that we all have to do what we got to do. We got to vote. We got to make sure we vote. We got to make sure we're registered to vote, not just find out on voting day that you're not registered to vote. So we have to be responsible adults. We've got to contact our representatives and everybody in our state, to whether they're our color or not, and just say, this is BS. And unless you stand for fascism, you need to do this. Because they need to get the message. Because I'll tell you what, after 2026 election, it's all over. It's all over if they win. That's the way it is. So I'm asking the universe for my rare predictive read. Please give us insights. Now, there's certain things that I'm going to look for if it's going to show me a conservative win. The things ahead of time that I'll let you know of, if it's a conservative wing, will be a predomination. Is that a real word? Predomination of swords and coins. For me, those are the conservative. Cups and batons are the less conservative. Okay, so those are the more liberal suits. So now, of course, there could be an even amount of all those things. So maybe those wouldn't be the clues. Or if they're where they occur, we can understand that that's the gist or the point or the thrust or the inclination of the Conservative Party and the Liberal Party as they appear in the card. So I just wanted to put that out there ahead of time. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh boy, joy. Okay, so if we, in the context of what I just said, the conservatives being swords and coins, will the conservatives peek through? Now, it is a blue sword, so that's hopeful. But, the race is a little too close for us. If she's ahead, she's not ahead by much. Now, I'm glad that it's not a red sword, to tell you the truth, but it still is the suit of swords, which I associate with conservative stuff. So, but I am happy to see that it is a blue sword because that counts for something. And the blue sword is cutting through the red BS, Let's see what the next cards are. Ugh. Okay, so we're going down. Okay, so we're going down in escalation, right? We're going from a 7 to a 6 of the same suit, and this is an extremely well shuffled deck, so I have no concerns that I didn't shuffle it well enough. So they're maybe in the state they're going to hold on to their little precious little agenda. Maybe they're feeling something slip. Ooh, now if the next one is a sword, and if the next one is a less number than 6, I'll be very upbeat. Okay, well, it's 2, which of coins, which is another suit that I associate with conservative. If I have to do political parties, that's how I think of it. So this is a good sign. So there's maybe a de-escalation of conservative stuff. This is a red ribbon, which further is a good sign, because it's a de-escalation of the red. I hope. Dear universe, thank you for indulging me with this read for a predictive read. Okay, so we have the hierarchy, the dogma, their agenda. Okay, let's see what's front and center of the core 9. 2 cups. Yeah, baby. So the conservatives and the liberals are present in equal number here. And then we have the magicians. We have some sleight of hand. I just hope to God there isn't any kind of cheating at the polls, which most of us are convinced happened, and there's no reason not to believe it, when both you-know-who and Emo Boy basically confessed to that. So, and remember what they accuse other people of doing, it's because they've done it themselves, so that's the way they roll. So, okay, so we have 5 coins. 5 is an uneasy number, right? It's an upsetting number, so they're going through it. Even if they pull it off, it's not going to be an easy win. Maybe the young people, maybe the younger people will step up. Because this is information coming from, now for me, like this guy doesn't have to be a teenager. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking about people who are younger than myself. I'm 67, so I'm an older generation, but maybe the generation, my son's generation, or even people a little older than him. He's in his late 30s. Maybe these people can make a difference. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the older people, I don't know, sometimes, I don't know what happens to people. We were raised in the 60s. We were raised in the 60s and the 70s. We were all about, then what happens? Why? Because they get rich, and then they don't care. And I think that's what happened to a lot of them. They lost their souls. Sorry, I took a sip of my chai tea. 2 of Swords. So we have a bunch of 2s floating around, and 2 of them are conservative. One of them, front and center of the core 9, is liberal. We have a preponderance of, conservative cards. We only have 2, and they're together. But we only really have 2 cards that I consider liberal. And however, it's hopeful because their numbers de-escalate. Their numbers are concerned, So I think what I'm getting out of this is that it's going to just be tight. It's going to be tight. Now, I think the quint cards, might give us the hope we're looking for. But for the meat of the tomato, if we have a chance, everybody's got to do their part. And maybe the generation, well, obviously, I think my generation, most of them are just stupid. They got stupid. I don't know. I don't know what happened to them. They got rich, I guess, a lot of them. But, some of them aren't rich, and they're still stupid because they still believe in the dream. They believe that who, to them, who, and I think to any of his followers, who is a poor man's idea of a rich man and a stupid man's idea of a smart man, what did his professor say? That he was the dumbest MF he ever saw? All right, that's enough. Let me go get the calculations. I'll be right back. Okay, well, Justice is the quintic for the center row, which also already ends with the Justice card. So I just pulled another Justice card from a handy deck, which is the 1JJ Swiss that I have right here. And so, you know, I have mixed feelings because I don't really understand. We seem to have like an underlying red, conservative, but front and center of the core 9, we have a celebratory card of the liberal. I mean, this is celebrating. Remember, this is like a Swiss style card. Right? This is the Burdell. It's based on the Burdell. So we have like the celebratory stuff, you know. So, and then we have two justice cards in the same row, front and center of this. So there's orthodoxy, there's celebration, there's manipulation, but then there's justice. In spades, right? We have 2 of them. And one of them is for the overall. So justice to a blue means justice, right? Fairness, equity, equal treatment for human beings, dignity, right? It's a virtue. It's one of the virtue cards. But we also have a lack of virtue up here. Let me get the tape and cover that before I pull it up. So I'm sorry I have to do this, but the people who are looking to get some of us in trouble wouldn't know culture fit bit them in the arse. In fact, they're too busy crashing Grindr at their Republican conventions and funerals to, anyway, don't get me started. I even forget why I was picking up the devil card. Oh, because of lack of virtue. So we have virtue. We have virtue. We have virtue. 8 and 8 is 16. The virtue outweighs the 15 of this lack of virtue, because this is totally a lack of virtue, right? And we have a lack of virtue on the okay. I dare not get too excited, but we have a dissension of conservatism, which ends with lack of virtue. Then we have the orthodoxy and manipulation flanking a more optimistic stance for the liberals, right? For a more liberal party. And then we end with 2 cards of justice. And then here, I'm not seeing this as an enthusiastic card for the conservatives because it's an upset. It's 5. It's instability. And then we have young liberals, perhaps, doing their thing. And even though they're not the same suit, we go from a 5 to a 2. And then perhaps the same generation is moving us along. And we have a blue horse. We don't have a red horse here. We have a blue horse. So dare I be hopeful, but it's by the hair of our chinny chin shin. If we pull it through, it's by the hair of our chinny chin shin, and only if every single person in this country who doesn't want to see our country taken away by a fascist regime, only if every single responsible adult in this country, and even if especially if they're not responsible, to get responsible. If you haven't done one responsible thing as an adult, you do all the wrong things. Do this one thing. Get registered to vote and vote. Because you're going to vote in your own best interests if you vote for the blue, even if they're not radical enough. Because at least, at the very minimum, they're going to fight for you to have health care. They're going to fight for you to have your Medicare. They're going to fight for you to have your Social Security. And guess what? You're never going to get invited to that frickin' ballroom, right? Your tax dollars are going to pay for that, but we're never going to be invited to that ballroom. So don't get me started. Okay, friends, until next time, peace. Stay well. Be brave. Do the right thing. Do what it takes to be a responsible citizen, because I got a news flash. After 2026, it's all over but for the shouting. I'm serious. Bye-bye. And be kind. Did I say be kind? Be kind.